Laughter in the hangar. The hangar of the Coalition Carrier Ascendant Spear was a cathedral of metal and arrogance. Thousands of meters long, it housed fighters from 37 known species, each craft shaped according to alien logic. Needle-thin Elysian interceptors glowing with harmonic shields, broad-winged Vorth assault ships bristling with plasma lances, and the angular, obsidian-black vessels of the Krell Dominion infamous across 3 spiral arms. And among them, parked slightly off-center like a mistake that had wandered into the wrong room, sat the human ship. It was smaller than most, duller. Its hull bore scars that had not been polished away, its paint matte and worn. No glowing sigils, no living metal wings, no neural halo crown linking pilot to ship mind, just a cockpit, engines, and weapons mounted with blunt honesty. Laughter rippled through the hangar. Is that it? Clicked Commander Jakor the Krell, his mandibles flexing in amusement. That is the human contribution? Several Elysian pilots tilted their crested heads, their translator bands shimmering with barely contained humor. It lacks aesthetic intimidation, one chimed. Does it even possess predictive foresight arrays? No, replied a Vortha weapons officer, scanning the craft. Manual control surfaces, reaction-based piloting. The laughter grew louder. Across the hangar, standing beside the ship, was a human pilot, flight suit dark, helmet tucked under one arm. No ceremonial markings, no visible augmentations. Just a woman in her early 30s, hair tied back, expression neutral, almost detached. Her call sign floated on the hangar display. LT Mara Kessler, call sign Gravebird, species human. A Krell pilot leaned closer to his comrades. They send a scavenger species to fly that? Humans are classified as adaptive prey, an Elysian officer added helpfully. High endurance, low survivability. Mara didn't react. She ran a hand along the edge of her cockpit, fingers brushing the metal like an old friend. The ship responded with a soft internal hum. Not a greeting, not an AI's voice. Just systems waking up. Nearby, alien pilots prepared for what they believed was a controlled combat simulation, an exercise meant to evaluate human integration into Coalition warfare. They had no idea. The Coalition Admiral's voice echoed through the hangar. All pilots, prepare for joint launch. This is a standard dogfight evaluation. No lethal force authorized. The sentence cut off mid-syllable. Alarm screamed. Every display shifted from blue to violent red. Unknown fleet translation detected. The AI announced, its tone losing its ceremonial calm. Signature match. Void Reavers. The hangar went silent. The Void Reavers were not pirates, not rebels. They were extinction events with engines. Combat authorization granted. The Admiral snapped. This is not a drill. All units launch immediately. Panic replaced laughter. Pilots scrambled. Energy shields flared. Formation algorithms activated across the fleet. Mara slipped her helmet on. Inside the cockpit, the world narrowed. No choir of AI voices filled her ears. No predictive overlays cluttered her vision. Just raw sensor data and the stars. A Krell pilot's voice cracked over the comms, unable to mask fear. Human vessel, stay in formation. You will reduce efficiency otherwise. Mara keyed her mic. Negative. Her voice was calm. Flat. Almost gentle. I don't fly like you. The Krell snapped back, irritation bleeding through terror. This is not a hunt for prey. Human. This is war. Mara smiled just a little. That's why you should stop calling us prey. Launch clamps disengaged. One by one, fighters screamed into the void, streaks of light against the endless black. Mara waited until last. As her ship slid forward, she caught fragments of alien chatter. Confusion, disdain, fear. Someone laughed again, nervously. Kill fee will mark the human first, a Vortha pilot muttered. A statistical inevitability. Mara's engines roared. The stars swallowed her ship. Ahead, the Void Reavers emerged from folded space. Organic, jagged warships like skeletal beasts, weapons already charging. The Coalition fleet moved as one, tight formations, overlapping shields. Mara didn't join them. She cut power. Her ship vanished from enemy sensors. The last thing she transmitted before the dogfight truly began was a single line, broadcast on an open channel. Kill feed's about to learn a new language. Then the universe exploded into fire. Space did not erupt into chaos all at once. It unfolded in layers. First light, then soundless shockwaves, then a delayed awareness that people were dying faster than any mind could count. The Void Reavers surged forward like a tidal wave of bone and fire. Their ships were asymmetrical nightmares, grown rather than built, their hulls studded with weapon nodes that pulsed like malignant organs. Energy lances screamed across the void, ripping into Coalition shields with predatory precision. Formation Alpha held. At least it tried to. Predictive combat AI sang in alien cockpits, feeding probabilities and recommended maneuvers into neural bands. Fighters rolled and banked in perfect geometry, a living equation designed to overwhelm through coordination. Then the Reavers adapted. They always did. A spear compressed antimatter punched through an Elysian interceptor, shearing its luminous wings clean off. The pilot had time to scream once before vacuum claimed the rest. The kill feed updated instantly. Coalition loss. Election Pilot 43. Panic spiked across comms. Maintain spacing. Shields failing, fall back. They're inside predictive range. Through it all, one craft remained absent from formation. Lieutenant Mara Kessler's fighter drifted dark and cold. Systems reduced to minimal output. To the Reaver's organic sensors, she was debris, just another fragment of metal tumbling through a battlefield already cluttered with wreckage. Inside her cockpit, Mara breathed slowly. In. Out. Her gloved fingers rested on physical controls, not neural impulses. Every vibration of the hull told her more than 1,000 AI suggestions ever could. She watched. The Reavers swarmed the Coalition's strongest cluster, drawn to shield emissions and power signatures like sharks to blood. Graybird, return to formation. A Vortha squad leader barked. You're outside protection. Mara ignored him. She waited until a Reaver strike craft broke away from the pack, angling toward a damaged Krell fighter. An easy kill. Then she lit the engines. Not full burn. Just enough. Her ship came alive like a predator waking mid-pounce. Heat flooded the engines, and the fighter leapt forward, cutting across the Reaver's blind arc at an angle no Coalition AI would ever recommend. The Reaver pilot noticed too late. Mara's targeting reticle flashed green. She fired kinetic rounds. Den slugs accelerated to obscene velocities. No energy signature. No warning flare. The rounds punched through the Reaver craft, tearing biological plating apart in a spray of frozen ichor and shattered bone metal. The enemy's ship didn't explode. It came apart. The kill feed blinked. Once, then updated. Void Reaver, confirmed kill. Pilot, Gravebird human. Silence hit the comms like a shockwave. An Elysian voice stammered. That is impossible. No energy discharge was detected. Kill feed error. Another insisted. Correct it. But the feed didn't correct itself. It added another entry. Mara was already moving. She rolled hard, deliberately scraping her ship against a cloud of debris to mask her thermal signature. Warning lights flared. Hull integrity dipped. She didn't care. A second Reaver broke formation to pursue her, its organic engines flaring with predatory excitement. Good, she thought. Follow me. She cut thrust entirely and let inertia carry her ship, drifting dead through space. The Reaver closed fast, confident in its kill. At the last possible second, Mara dumped countermass and fired her maneuvering jets sideways, slipping beneath the Reaver's attack vector by meters, close enough that she could see the ridges on its hull. She fired again, point blank. The Reaver vanished in a violent implosion of shredded biomass. Void Reaver, confirmed kill. Pilot, Gravebird, human. 2 kills. The comms erupted. Human pilot is engaging independently. Command, the kill feed confirms. By the stars, she turned her ship off. A Krell commander hissed in disbelief. She is fighting without predictive modeling. She is fighting inside uncertainty. An Elysian analyst whispered, all creeping into their tone. Mara didn't hear any of it. Her world was vectors and motion, distance and timing. She threaded her fighter through the chaos, never staying where enemy sensors expected her to be. A third Reaver came at her head-on. Mara didn't evade. She accelerated. Warning alarm screamed as she pushed her engines past safe limits. The Reaver unleashed a plasma surge, certain the human would break away. She didn't. At the last heartbeat, Mara fired a grappling harpoon, an archaic tool most Coalition species had abandoned centuries ago. It punched into the Reaver's hull. Mara yanked hard, using the enemy's own momentum to sling herself around its flank, ripping the harpoon free and tearing open exposed internals. She fired once more. Void Reaver, confirmed kill. Pilot, Gravebird human. 3. The kill feed began to scroll faster. Coalition pilot stared as a human name repeated, stacking entries like a glitch that refused to be erased. Fear crept into alien voices, not a Reaver's, of the human. Gravebird, the Admiral said quietly over command channel. What are you doing? Mara exhaled. Buying you time. As she spoke, she dove straight into the densest cluster of enemy ships, alone, drawing their attention like a flare in the dark. Behind her, the Coalition fleet stabilized, enemy pressure easing as Reaver units peeled off to hunt the impossible human fighter. The language on the kill feed didn't change, but its meaning had already begun to shift. At first, the kill feed was noise, numbers, names, species identifiers flickering too fast for the mind to absorb. Losses on both sides, scrolling in impartial white text across every cockpit display. Then it began to hesitate, a fraction of a second between updates. Just long enough for pilots to notice, just long enough to feel it. Mara Kessler's fighter tore through the battlefield like a thrown blade, its engines screaming in protest as she pushed them beyond red line again and again. Warning lights painted her cockpit in angry amber, but she ignored them with practiced calm. Pain was later. Fear was for people who survived. Behind her, 3 Void Reaver ships pursued, their organic hulls pulsing with rage. They were learning, adjusting their attack vectors, anticipating her brutal turns. Too slow, Mara thought. She cut her engines mid-roll and let inertia carry her into a tumble that no algorithm would suggest. 1 Reaver overshot. Another collided with debris from an earlier kill. The third adapted. It fired a wide dispersal net of bioplasma, saturating the space ahead of her with lethal probability. Mara smiled grimly. She dove straight into it. Her shields failed instantly. Hull alarms screamed as superheated plasma chewed into the outer layers of her ship. The cockpit temperature spiked. She waited, then punched every remaining maneuvering thruster at once. The fighter lurched sideways, clipping the plasma field just enough to survive, sliding past the Reaver at a distance, so close their hulls brushed. Mara fired upward. The kinetic rounds tore into the creature ship's exposed sensory cluster. The Reaver went blind. It spun, firing wildly. Mara didn't get the chance to recover. Void Reaver, confirmed kill. Pilot, Gravebird, human. 4. The kill feed updated, and then stopped. No Coalition loss followed. No Reaver counter-entry. Just silence. Across the fleet, alien pilots froze, hands hovering over controls as their neural bands strained to interpret the absence of data. Command. An Elysian voice whispered, translator trembling. The feed, it has paused. The Coalition Admiral stared at his console. That's not possible. The system auto-updates every confirmed casualty. Yet the feed remained empty. Seconds stretched. Then it resumed, but only one name appeared. Gravebird, human. Confirmed kill. Confirmed kill. Confirmed kill. No enemy identifiers. No timestamps between entries. Just the name. Repeating. Fear rippled through the Void Reavers. For the first time in recorded history, their formations broke, not tactically, but emotionally. Ships peeled away from the Coalition fleet, converging on a human like predators obsessed with a single impossible prey. Mara felt it immediately. Her sensors bloomed with hostile locks. 6, 8, 10. Gravebird, the Admiral said urgently. You are being targeted by multiple heavy units. Disengage. Mara shook her head, though no one could see it. Negative. She angled her fighter toward a drifting asteroid cluster. Jagged rocks tumbling in chaotic orbits. A nightmare for formation-based combat. Human pilot. A Krell commander hissed, "Fear undisguised now. You will be destroyed." Mara's voice came back steady. "Maybe." She cut toward the rocks. The Reavers followed. Inside the asteroid field, space became a maze of spinning stone and shrapnel. Coalition ships hung back, unable to pursue without catastrophic risk. The human didn't slow. She weaved between tumbling boulders, scraping hull, shedding armor, using the chaos like a second skin. Reaver ships smashed into rock, their biological hulls unable to react fast enough. Mara picked them off one by one. No flair, no speeches, just efficiency. Confirmed kill, confirmed kill, confirmed kill. The kill feed no longer displayed enemy names. Coalition translators struggled, emotional context flooding their linguistic processors. The word associated with human began to accumulate new connotations: danger, inevitability, terminal force. A Void Reaver command ship entered the field, massive and bristling with weapons. It fired a directed annihilation beam that vaporized an asteroid in front of Mara. Her ship spun violently. Systems failed. One engine died. She coughed, tasting blood. Still alive. Grave bird, the Admiral said softly now, almost reverently. Fall back. That is an order. Mara looked at the command ship, at the dozens of smaller Reavers rallying behind it. She remembered Earth skies, old training simulators, stories of pilots who didn't come home. This ends here, she murmured. She rerouted power from life support to weapons. Oxygen levels dropped. She didn't notice. Mara flew straight at the command ship. The Reavers fired everything. She slipped through by meters, using the wreckage of her own ship as camouflage, her hull peeling away in chunks. At point-blank range, she launched her last payload, an overcharged kinetic core, unstable and screaming with stored energy. She rammed it into the command ship's central node. Then she pulled away, engines flaring one final time. The explosion was silent, but it was absolute. The command ship came apart in a bloom of debris and frozen fire, the shockwave rippling outward and shredding the remaining Reavers caught too close. The kill feed blinked once, then went completely dark. No updates, no scrolling, just empty space. Across the battlefield, Void Reaver ships hesitated. Then, unthinkably, they turned away. They ran. Coalition pilots watched in stunned silence as the enemy fled into folded space, abandoning the field. The feed remained silent, not broken, finished, and in that quiet, the galaxy began to understand something it had never translated before. Silence after battle was never truly quiet. It hummed with cooling metal, drifting debris, and the distant echo of things that had almost ended. The battlefield around the Ascendant Spear was littered with wreckage. Void Reaver biomass crystallized into grotesque sculptures, shattered asteroids, fragments of Coalition fighters spinning slowly in the dark. No one spoke. The kill feed remained blank. Coalition pilots hovered in loose formation, afraid that if they said something, anything, the universe might resume killing. Status report. The Admiral finally said, his voice low, controlled with visible effort. One by one, replies came in. Ili Xianwing 3 operational. Krell Vanguard, damaged but intact. Vorth artillery units regrouping. Then a pause. And the human? The Admiral asked. Sensors swept the debris field again. They're barely detectable, drifting near the remnants of the Reaver command ship. A small craft, broken, scarred, power flickering, but alive. Relief spread to the command deck like oxygen after a vacuum breach. Graybird, the Admiral said, opening a direct channel. Do you copy? Static crackled. Then breathing. Ragged. Human. Copy, Mara Kessler answered. Ship's not happy, but I'm still here. A Krell officer exhaled, mandibles trembling. She destroyed a Reaver command ship alone. No! corrected an Elysian linguist quietly. She ended them. Rescue drones moved in, carefully guiding Mara's crippled fighter back toward the carrier. As the hangar doors closed around her ship, no laughter waited this time. Only silence. Mara climbed out slowly, helmet under her arm, her flight suit scorched and torn. Medics rushed forward, but she waved them off until her boots touched the deck. Alien eyes followed her, some with awe, some with fear, some with something dangerously close to reverence. The Krell commander who had mocked her earlier stepped forward, towering and armored, his voice low. "Human pilot, why did you fight that way?" Mara considered him for a moment. "Because if I didn't," she said simply, "you'd be dead." There was no answer to that. The debrief. Hours later, in the Coalition Strategic Chamber, the atmosphere was heavier than any gravity well. Holographic displays replayed fragments of the battle. Mara's ship vanishing from sensors, her kills stacking impossibly fast the moment the Void Reavers broke. This behavior contradicts all known combat doctrine. An Elysian analyst said, voice trembling. She deliberately increased risk to induce enemy fixation. She made herself the threat, the Admiral murmured. A linguistics AI chimed in, tone uncertain. Attention! Coalition lexicon update required. The chamber turned toward the display. During the engagement, the AI continued. Translation matrices recorded anomalous semantic drift across 12 languages. The term associated with human has changed. Text appeared. Human. Previous translation. Adaptive prey/resilient species. Current emergent meanings. Terminal escalation. Extinction response. Last warning before annihilation. The room went still. That's not how language works, a Vorta scientist whispered. No, the AI replied. It is how language reacts to trauma. Across the Coalition networks, similar updates propagated. Dictionaries rewrote themselves. Military manuals flagged the word human as a strategic variable rather than a species identifier. On enemy channels, intercepted fragments from retreating Void Reavers, something even stranger appeared. Their language had added a new concept, a sound that did not translate, a name, Grave Bird, not a title, not a rank, a signal, one that meant, do not pursue. The human, Mara sat alone in the med bay, staring at her hands as nanites worked through burns and microfractures. The adrenaline had faded, leaving behind exhaustion so deep it felt ancient. The Admiral entered quietly. You broke their advance, he said. You saved 3 fleets. Mara shrugged weakly. Just doing my job. He studied her for a long moment. Your species terrifies my people now. She looked up, eyes sharp despite the fatigue. Good, she said. That means they'll think twice before hunting us. He nodded slowly. The Coalition has voted unanimously, he said. Human pilots will no longer be integrated as auxiliaries. You will lead your own strike doctrine. Mara blinked. Lead. Yes, the Admiral said. We call it asymmetric human response. She snorted softly. Catchy. Before he left, he paused. What should we call what happened today? He asked. Mara thought about the silence after the kill feed ended, about the moment the enemy ran. Call it a translation error, she said. They didn't understand us before. The legend, years later, in academies light years away, alien cadets would study that battle. They would learn that formations could fail, that predictions could be broken, that some species did not escalate gradually. They jumped straight to the end. And when new threats emerged, when something ancient stirred or something hungry arrived, Coalition commanders would ask only one question. Are the humans awake? Because across the galaxy, one truth had settled into language itself. Humans were not prey. They were what happened after the kill feed went silent.